Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next hour. US presidential poll race in last leg. Harris and Trump campaign in final push. New polls say Trump leading in all swing states except Iowa. Israeli PM visits Lebanon border, vows to respond firmly to Hezbollah. Devotees attacked at Hindu temple by Khalistani extremists in Canada's Brampton. Opposition says completely unacceptable. India's External Affairs Minister to co-chair the 15th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue with the Australian counterpart in Canberra, also to inaugurate India's 4th consulate in Australia. First up, let's get you all the latest on the US presidential polls 2024 as the race to the White House nears the finish line. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris and her Republican rival, former President Donald Trump, put all efforts ahead of the Tuesday vote. As Kamala Harris campaigned in the battleground state of Michigan on Sunday, the Democratic presidential nominee urged voters to not fall for Trump's tactic on election fraud.
I would ask, in particular, people who have not yet voted, to not fall for his tactic, which I think includes suggesting to people that if they vote, their vote won't matter. Suggesting to people that somehow the integrity of our voting system is not intact so that they don't vote. And again, I think that it is a tactic. It is meant to distract from the fact that we have and support free and fair elections in our country.
In a video released on Sunday, the Democratic presidential nominee urged people to make a plan to vote ahead of Election Day.
Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. And yes, this race is going to be tight, but we are going to win. And one of the reasons why is you're going to vote. I know you are. So make sure you fill out your ballot. I did mine. I'm going to put it in the mail. And we are going to make sure that we fight together for the promise of America. And if you haven't yet, please make a plan to vote.
Former US President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump also held rallies in swing states to garner support in his favor. Addressing a rally in Pennsylvania, Trump said that he will bring back the American dream while taking a jibe at his Democratic rival and US Vice President Kamala Harris, stating that she had broken that dream and that would fix it and vowed to fix it fast. He asserted that under his leadership, the country would experience a resurgence, stating that the US would be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer and stronger than ever before at a rally in North Carolina's Kinston. Trump said he is firm on his plans of tariffs, tax cuts and immigration.
A sales tax on the people. No, I'm going to impose a tariff on the outside world, and they're going to pay it for their privilege of coming in and robbing our jobs and robbing our companies for years and years. They like to say that the sales tax is created by a tariff. No, it's not. This is look, I had a lot of tariffs. I took it. The most beautiful word in the dictionary to me is tariff.
Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump remain in a tight race in the country's 7 battleground states 2 days before the US presidential election. The final New York Times Siena College poll showed Vice President Harris with marginal leads in Nevada, North Carolina and Wisconsin. and former President Trump just ahead in Arizona. The two are in close races in Michigan, Georgia and Pennsylvania, according to the poll, which surveyed 7,879 likely voters in the 7 states from October 24th to November 2nd. World attention is focusing on the US presidential election as the political atmosphere within America is getting increasingly intense as the election day approaches. With multiple states, especially the swing states, preparing for potential election violence and unrest, security forces across the capital are on high alert. 2 days ahead of the election, workers were seen putting up additional security measures outside the White House and the official residence of the Vice President. Secret Service agents guarded the building. This election cycle, some campaign speeches have contained violent rhetoric, and courts around the country have been inundated with pre-election litigations. More than 74 million people had already cast their ballots as of Saturday, which is nearly 47% the total number cast in 2020 presidential election. That includes 4 million voters in Georgia, or 80% of the total that voted there in 2020. In the battlegrounds of Arizona and North Carolina, roughly half of eligible voters have already shown up. And in 3 states, Connecticut, Delaware and South Carolina, early voting has surpassed 2020 levels. Now I've been joined by two of our correspondents, Shubhendu Ghosh, who is joining us from Washington, D.C., and also Amritpal Singh, who is joining us from Florida to give us the details of what's happening in the United States ahead of the presidential polls. Hello, both of you gentlemen. First to you, Shubhendu. How's the atmosphere in the capital as far as the elections are concerned, and what's the mood among candidates?
Hello, Siddharth. We're coming to you from the seat of power in the United States. Just behind me, I'm not sure if it's very visible, but is the U.S. House of Congress. Opposite to that is the White House, so we're very close to where the power centers of the United States is. You're asking us about how's the mood and climate here. Well, it's very, very quiet at the moment, as usually is in this area of Washington, D.C., where all the important offices and government buildings are located. But is this the lull before the storm is something we'll have to find out till the election day. Of course, as you mentioned, that tensions are quite palpable in the air. It has been a very, very polarized elections. One has to see the manner in which the candidates are going to accept their victory and defeat. Somebody is going to lose these elections, and what will be the outcome of that, what will be the outcome of their supporters is something that is keeping people and the administration also a bit nervous. In view of that, the preparation has been heightened, security has been heightened. A few weeks ago, there was a case of ballot burning nearby as well. We see National Guards have been activated. They are on alert to tackle any eventuality. We were looking around in the evening. We saw that a lot of fencing, a lot of restrictions of movement is also being made, especially near the White House. Important preparations there. And we'll have to see the manner in which the security arrangements are in focus on the polling day and as the results come out. Remember, Tuesday, once the elections get completed by 7 p.m. in the evening, the counting will start immediately and the trends will start coming in. And that's when it will be important for the authorities to make sure that security and stability is maintained.
All right. Stay with us, Shubhendu. Now I'll go across to Amritpal Singh, who's joining us from Florida. Hi, Amrit. Last day of campaigning, both candidates putting their energies on swing states. What are you getting for us?
That's right. As Shubhendu said, he comes from the seat of power, where the city which houses the U.S. president. I'm reporting from Mar-a-Lago at Palm Beach in Florida, where the man who's trying to unseat the lady in power at the moment lives. You can't see behind me because it's dark. It's almost 10 p.m. Here, but that's where Donald Trump lives in his beach house.
Okay.
The flamboyant man that he is, and today's campaigning that you saw in the swing states had that rhetoric that he has been pulling across all through the campaign. Verifying immigrants, saying that they are the ones who have taken the system, they've rigged the system, and that needs to be fixed. And he said that he'll fix it and fix it fast. Accused Kamala Harris and the Democrats of bringing, the issue of the economy where it is today. Last day of campaigning saw both candidates focus, Siddharth, on the swing states, because that is where the swing states will, by the end of the day, decide who sits in the Oval Office for the next 4 years.
Definitely, Amrit. You stay with us now. Shubhendu, could you please tell us about the voting process?
Right, Siddharth. So the big day is going to be November 5th, Tuesday, here in United States, the voting day. To put the facts ahead first, from 7 a.m. in the morning to 7 p.m. In the evening, the voting will continue. Now remember that America is also spread through multiple time zones. So there is about a 3 hours difference between East Coast, just for example, where Washington is located, and the West Coast, where California is. So for the election to be completed throughout the continental America, we'll have to also take into account that time zone. If we talk about the voting process, early voting has been historic this time over. Most states, especially the swing states, have voted more than 50% in most cases in the early voting. Now, the big election day, the voting will take place. There are different formats in which voting happens. Here in America, although they had introduced electronic voting long ago, but there is a lot of interest and preference for hard copy paper ballot voting. About 25% of the voting is likely to happen through electronic voting. Now, there is a ballot paper. If I can tell you about the hard copy one, it's about 6 pages long, because remember, it is not just the next president that the people are voting for. There are also seats of Senate, there are seats of House of Representatives, there are a lot of local elections also happening to fill the local bodies. So there are multiple candidates that the voters have to vote for, along with, of course, the big choice of the next president. So they have to make that choice by 7 p.m. Voting is expected to be concluded. Thereafter, the trends will start coming in. Now, if the contest is as close as we presume it's going to be, then it might take days before we finally know who has come out on top, who is going to be the next president. However, if, unlike what the opinion polls have been saying, if one candidate has a clear edge over the other, it is possible that we may have the name of the winner sooner than we think.
All right. And Shubhendu, Nevada, North Carolina and Wisconsin shows Harris with marginal leads, whereas Trump just ahead in Arizona, as per New York Times, a Siena College poll. What can we make out of this? Where is the wind blowing?
Well, really the key word, Siddharth, in what you're saying is the word marginal. And marginal vote here, we'll have to see what comes out in the final opinion of the people when they vote in these elections on November 5th. Remember, different opinion polls had given different kind of edge to both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in the run-up to the polls. And in fact, these polls giving a different kind of positions for the candidates have only emphasized how close this contest is, especially where the swing states, as Amrit was talking about. That's where the real contest is. And there, a difference of 100 votes, also in the past it has happened, a difference of 100 votes could bring one candidate on top of other. And because it is not a popular vote that determines who the winner of the presidential election is going to be, it's the electoral vote. So even if you win a state by one vote, all the electoral votes are going to be transferred to you, giving you a huge edge. So therefore, this close contest is something now we'll have to watch out for. I think there's always a time when we take a break from opinion polls. We should now look at the main elections and what comes out of it.
Definitely. Now, Amrit, can you just tell us when can we expect the election results? Shubhendu told us a bit about it.
Shubhendu was saying it depends upon how close the contest is. Now, what happens is that this election is conducted. There is no federal authority like the Election Commission of India that you have in India. There are counties which have state boards, and every state has a different law. There are some states have enacted new laws. Some states are sticking to old laws to speed up. In some cases, it's slowing down the counting process. So it really depends upon what sort of, how close the contest is. Second, how fast, how quick these counties count their votes. Some states which traditionally vote, what happens here is that some states vote red. They vote for Republicans traditionally. The others vote for Democrats. They're called the blue states. Now, what television channel networks start doing here is when about 20% of the vote is counted, and if it seems going a particular way, especially in the non-swing states or the non-battleground states, they start calling in those states. So you would have, once the voting stops at 7 p.m. Their particular time zones, they will, in about 2 to 3 hours, they start calling the state. What they wait for really is the swing state, because there is where, they wait and see who is leading, because things can change. It is counted county by county. And if it goes into litigation, as already has in, the early voting and the mail-in voting, it could take longer. So the results could be out by the next morning, or it could take days, Siddharth.
All right, gentlemen, Amritpal Singh and Shubhendu Ghosh, let me tell you, our viewers are getting to know many things by the wonderful reports that are being sent by you. We'll keep taking updates from you. I'm sure that excitement is palpable there. It's in the air. It's just a day left for the presidential polls. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining in. And still to come on DD India News Hour. US long-range bomber joins air drill with South Korea, Japan. Pro-EU incumbent Maya Sandu re-elected to second term as President of Moldova. Google brings AI answers to map applications.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Israel on Sunday pressed on with its campaigns in Lebanon and Gaza, launching several deadly strikes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited his country's northern border. Netanyahu's visit came after an airstrike killed at least 3 people near the southern Lebanon city of Sidon, as per the Lebanese health ministry, and as more bombs hit the country's east. Israel's military said more than 100 projectiles were fired from Lebanon into Israeli territory on Sunday. Several were intercepted and some fell in unpopulated areas. Hezbollah fired a barrage of missiles at an Israeli Air Force technical base in northern coastal city of Haifa. While at the border, the Israeli Prime Minister said that Hezbollah must be pushed back to Litani, whether there's a deal or not.
With or without an agreement, the key to returning peace and security in the north, the key to returning our evacuated residents in the north safely to their homes is to push Hezbollah back beyond the Litani River, to strike any attempt by it to rearm, and thirdly, to respond forcefully against any action against us.
Israeli troops recently detained an individual in Syria, which the IDF said was an Iranian operative who had gathered intelligence on Israeli troops in the border area. The Israeli military named the person as Ali Solomon al-Asi, a Syrian citizen from the area of Saida in southern Syria. It said the operation took place in recent months, however, gave no exact date. Al-Asi has been brought to Israel for investigation. A former spokesperson of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been detained by the country's government. The man, identified as Eliezer Feldstein, has been detained for allegedly leaking confidential documents that may have harmed Gaza hostage deal negotiations, as per a court said on Sunday. Feldstein was detained along with 3 other people, including security officials, said the court in the coastal city of Rishon LeZion. News of the case has led the opposition to question whether Netanyahu was complicit in the leak, an allegation denied by his office. In response to North Korea's latest long-range missile test, South Korea, Japan and the United States on Sunday conducted a joint air drill involving a heavy bomber. The drill mobilized the US's B-1B bomber, South Korea's F-15K and KF-16 fighter jets, and Japan's F-2 jets. The B-1B Lancer is a supersonic heavy bomber known for its high-speed performance with a payload of 34,000 kilograms of munitions, including both conventional and precision-guided weapons. The exercise took place 3 days after Pyongyang launched one of its most powerful and advanced solid-fueled intercontinental ballistic missiles, which experts say that could reach targets in the mainland US. And India correspondent Amit Mukherjee is joining us from New Delhi to give us more inputs on this. Hi Amit, a very good morning to you. In response to North Korea's latest long-range missile test, Amit, South Korea, Japan and the United States on Sunday conducted a joint air drill involving a heavy bomber. How do you assess this?
Well, Siddharth, it is a concerning and as well as a very, very significant development in the Indo-Pacific region. But let me tell you, this is not the first time that this kind of a tri-nation military drill is happening. In fact, a similar drill happened in June also, where these 3 nations, US, Japan and South Korea, had participated in it. Now, the trigger was again a very, very similar sort of a thing where North Korea had increased military activities in the Korean Peninsula region. And also there were reports that North Korea was trying to deepen its ties with Russia. And that was the reason why this first tri-nation military drill had happened in June. In fact, the prime objective of this particular drill, which was termed as Freedom Edge, was to focus on creating defense capabilities in terms of tackling missile attacks, air defense, as well as submarine defense, and also joint interoperability as far as cyber attacks are concerned in these 3 regions, in these 3 nations. So, I mean, again, on a similar line, this kind of a military drill is happening again this week, and also this kind of this particular situation assumes significance in the wake of reports that North Korea has again sent about 13,000 troops to fight in the Ukraine-Russia war front line, along with Russia. In fact, they will be strengthening the Russian defense forces, and that report again is a trigger. And in the last few days, if you look at what has been happening in Ukraine, the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, has been increasing his decibel regarding Western support as far as dealing with this development when North Korean troops are joining Russia to fight, the Ukraine, and in fact, there were reports also that Russia already has mobilized 3,000 North Korean troops for deployment in the Ukrainian regions, which are under the control of Russia. And also there are additional about 10,000 troops that are waiting as contingent in case of any further requirements. So all these put together has again triggered for this second sort of a tri-nation military exercise in the Indo-Pacific region, Siddharth.
Indeed. Amit, but what do you think the deployment of the B-1B bomber and other aircraft indicates about the military capabilities and readiness of the Allied forces, Amit?
Well, Siddharth, US has got multiple, defense aircrafts, which are much more better in capability, but definitely this is also a very good defense aircraft with a speed of about 1.2 Mach, and it has got multiple capabilities of carrying, payloads in terms of nuclear warheads as well as other, contemporary defense equipment and bombs. So, and in fact, this time they have deployed a bomber. Earlier, in fact, in the drill, US had also sent its warship. In fact, the aircraft carrier Roosevelt in the previous operation. So in fact, it is a step ahead. Earlier it was the ocean defense that US had deployed in this kind of a military exercise, and now this time they're using their air capabilities in a show of strength. So that.
Indeed, a wonderful analysis by you, Amit. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres voiced deep concerns on Sunday over reports that North Korean troops may have entered Russia, possibly heading toward the conflict zone. US intelligence has said the North Korean forces have reached Russia's Kursk region, sparking urgent calls from Washington and Seoul for Pyongyang's immediate withdrawal. With neither Russia nor Korea denying these reports, Guterres warned this could dangerously internationalize the war. The Secretary General called for renewed efforts to prevent further escalation and reach a peaceful resolution to the crisis in Ukraine. In Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region, Russian forces claimed on Sunday to have seized the village as they advanced toward the key logistical hub of Pokrovsk. Although Ukraine's general staff did not confirm the village's fall, they reported ongoing battles in the area. According to the Ukrainian military, Russian forces launched 19 attacks on the Pokrovsk sector along with 1,000-kilometer front line, with Ukrainian defenders reportedly repelling many assaults. Russian troops are concentrating their efforts on the villages of Promen and one other village, while continuing to push toward nearby Salaidov, a strategic town they announced capturing last week. This follows Russia's claim on Saturday of taking 2 more villages, intensifying the fight along Ukraine's eastern front. And Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has condemned attack on the Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton by Khalistani extremists near Toronto on Sunday, calling it as unacceptable. Canadian opposition leader Pierre Poilievre also strongly condemned the attack. Local police said they had deployed heavily outside the Hindu Sabha Mandir in order to maintain calm during a protest. Though no arrests had been made, police have also declined to assign blame for the reported violence. Toronto MP Kevin Wong also condemned the attack and asserted that Canada has become a safe harbor for radicals, and asserted that country's leaders have failed to protect Hindus just like they failed to safeguard Christians and Jewish Canadians. Canadian Member of Parliament Chandra Arya also condemned the attack on the temple and said that a red line has been crossed by Khalistani extremists, highlighting the rise of brazen violent extremism in Canada. The recent attack adds to a string of similar incidents documented in recent years, underscoring a distressing trend of religious intolerance. During the last few years, Hindu temples in the Greater Toronto Area, British Columbia and other places in Canada are being vandalized with hateful graffiti. Moldova's pro-Western incumbent President Maia Sandu has won a second term in pivotal presidential runoff against a Russia-friendly opponent. According to the Central Electoral Commission, Sandu had 55% of the vote, with almost 99% of votes counted in the second round. Her competitor, the former Prosecutor General Alexander Stoyanoglu, was polling at just over 45%. On Sunday, Moldovans voted in a runoff election, which was seen as a critical indicator of whether the country's long-term geopolitical alignment would be with Russia or Europe. Speaking at the headquarters of her Action and Solidarity Party in the capital Chisinau, Sandu said her priority in coming years would become a president for all Moldovans.
Moldova, you have stepped into the future. Dear Moldovans, I am grateful to each of you who came to vote. I have heard your voice, both those who supported me and those who voted for Mr. Stoyanoglu. I commit to being the president for all of you.
The King and Queen of Spain have been pelted with mud and other objects by angry protesters during a visit to flood-hit Valencia. King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia visited the town of Paiporta, one of the most affected by the floods that have killed more than 200 people, alongside Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and other officials. The king faced chants of murder, where locals accused authorities of lax response to the disaster. With mud on their faces and clothes, King Felipe and Queen Letizia were later seen consoling members of the crowd. Sanchez's office in a statement said that the Prime Minister had been taken away following security protocol. Cleanup efforts across flood-stricken Valencia have entered their 6th day with massive search and rescue operation. More than 214 people are killed in the deadliest flooding to hit Spain in its modern history, with sweeping away bridges and buildings. Residents of Valencia region were warned to stay home as the National Weather Agency issued a new severe rainfall alert. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. As tensions loom between police and people blocking roads in Bolivia, Bolivian President Evo Morales urged the need for dialogue between government and his supporters to avoid bloodshed. Morales' supporters are currently blocking roads to protest the country's poor economic situation. The government claimed supporters of Morales have seized a military post in the Cochabamba state, taking more than 200 soldiers hostage. Thousands of people marched through central London demanding action on cleaning up Britain's rivers and seas with stricter enforcement of companies who break pollution rules. Protesters urged government to prioritize clean water policies, highlighting the risk pollution poses to biodiversity. Sudan's army chief Abdel Fattah has appointed a new acting foreign minister following a cabinet decision issued on Sunday. Hussein Awad Ali has been relieved of his duties, with Ali Yusuf Ahmed taking his place. This reshuffle comes as Sudan faces pressure to mend strained international ties and navigate a complex geopolitical environment. Google Maps is embarking on an AI-powered transformation aimed at enhancing user experience and making navigation smarter. With this technology, Google Maps will offer more personalized routes based on real-time data like traffic conditions and individual preferences, providing faster and safer travel options. AI will also improve visual features, allowing users to explore neighborhoods in immersive details. And still to come. Stay with us. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned.
Who will be the next president of United States of America?
Will Donald Trump make a dramatic comeback, or will Kamala Harris become America's first woman president?
It's a tight race to the White House.
The knives are out and the battle lines sharply drawn.
He's becoming increasingly unstable and unhinged.
She's a threat to democracy because she shouldn't even be the candidate.
I'm Amritpal Singh.
I'm Shubhendu Ghosh.
We travel across the United States
To decode the issues at the heart of this polarized election.
Watch this space only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of headlines. US presidential poll race in last leg. Harris and Trump campaign in final push. New polls say Trump leading in all swing states except Iowa. Israeli PM visits Lebanon border, vows to respond firmly to Hezbollah. Devotees attacked at Hindu temple by Khalistani extremists in Canada's Brampton. Opposition says completely unacceptable. India's External Affairs Minister to co-chair the 15th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue with Australian counterpart in Canberra, also to inaugurate India's 4th consulate in Australia. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar formally inaugurated the new Consulate General of India in Brisbane on Monday. Dr. Jaishankar, in a social media post, said the consulate will contribute to strengthening India ties with Queensland state, promoting trade, fostering educational linkages and serving the diaspora. He thanked the Governor of Queensland, Dr. Janet Young, and Ministers Rosalind Mary Bates and Fiona Simpson for joining the inauguration ceremony. Earlier on Sunday, Dr. S. Jaishankar met the Chancellor of University of Queensland, Peter Verghese, in Brisbane. They discussed matters related to educational and research collaborations between India and Australia. Jaishankar will also co-chair the 15th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong in Canberra. He will deliver the keynote address at the inaugural session of the second Raisina Down Under to be held in the Australian Parliament House. Dr. Jaishankar offered tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at Roma Street, Parklands in Brisbane. In a social media post, Dr. Jaishankar said, Gandhiji's message of peace and harmony resonate through the world. The first ever session of Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory Assembly is beginning on Monday amid heightened security arrangements in the wake of recent spurt in terror attacks in Union Territory. The Assembly session will take place at the Assembly Complex in Srinagar, where newly elected members will convene to discuss crucial issues, including potential tabling of a statehood bill. As per the list of the business, a motion will be moved in the House to choose Senior National Conference leader Abdul Rahim Rathar as the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. After the Speaker's election, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha will address the Assembly. In Jammu and Kashmir's capital Srinagar, at least 12 people were injured in a grenade attack on Sunday. The blast occurred at the Sunday market near the tourist reception centre in Srinagar. The explosion caused panic in the area and sent shoppers scrambling for cover. Police has taken cognizance of this act of terror and is committed to ensuring that the perpetrators are brought to justice. The grenade attack comes a day after top Pakistani terrorist affiliated to Lashkar-e-Toiba was gunned down by security forces in Srinagar. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address two rallies in poll-bound Jharkhand. Polling for the Jharkhand Assembly elections will be held on November 13 and November 20th. The counting of votes will be held on November 23rd. Union Home Minister Amit Shah addressed three political rallies in the state on Sunday and released the BJP's election manifesto outlining 25 resolutions to mark 25 years of state's formation. November 4 is the last date for withdrawing nominations for Maharashtra Assembly elections. According to reports, around 36 candidates from the Mahayuti and 26 candidates from the Mahavikas Aghadi have turned rebel. The candidates have filed nominations against each other and have created friendly contests among the allies in many constituencies. Leaders of both the alliances are trying to pacify these rebels to withdraw their nominations before Monday. Voting in the state will be held on 20th of November and counting of votes will take place on 23rd of November. Indian capital Delhi's air quality touched a new low as many areas like Anand Vihar reported an AQI of 600 and above, the worst this season so far. Meanwhile, the overall air quality in the national capital stood at 434 as of 6 a.m. IST on Monday. Currently, the pollution level is 59 times higher than the WHO prescribed danger limit. Constant exposure to high pollution concentrations can cause severe health concerns such as lung and brain damage. Let's take a look at other stories making news. As northern state of Uttarakhand's Haridwar is set to celebrate the 8th edition of Ganga Utsav on Monday, preparations for the event are carried out in full swing at the Chandi Ghat in Spiritual City. Aimed to promote the conservation of river Ganga, the event highlights Ganga's cultural and spiritual significance and raise awareness among the public toward cleanliness. People in huge numbers flocked to the Deepavali Mela held at Mata Tripura Sundari Temple on Sunday. Situated in the northeastern state of Tripura, the temple is considered as one of the revered 51 Shakti Pithas. The Border Security Force Kashmir Frontier organized a half marathon in Jammu and Kashmir to raise awareness for the Asia's second largest freshwater lake, Wular Lake. The event aims to showcase the beauty and significance of the lake and to promote conservation and sustainable development as tourist destination under the logo Save Wular, run with Borderman. And still to come on DD India News Hour. OPEC Plus agrees to delay December output hike for 1 month. The US Federal Reserve is widely expected to cut interest rates again this week. And we'll also show you some glimpses showing enthusiasm among US voters ahead of November 5 presidential polls.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will hold meetings with his top 2 ministers to try to find common ground after they put forward contradictory plans to fix the nation's ailing economy. The standoff is the latest escalation in a row over economic and industrial policy between the FDP, the Greens, and Scholz Social Democrats that has fueled speculation of the coalition's potential collapse less than a year before elections are due. A worsening business outlook in Europe's largest economy has widened divisions in Scholz's ideologically disparate coalition over policy measures to drive growth, protect industrial jobs, and reinforce Germany's position as a global industrial hub. Eight members of the OPEC Plus group of oil-producing nations has taken a decision to extend supply cuts until the end of December. The countries have agreed to extend the November 2023 voluntary production adjustments of 2.2 million barrels per day for 1 month until the end of December 2024. The 8 OPEC Plus nations are Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria, and Oman. They have been delaying production increases amid concerns over slowing demand in China and the United States, which has weighed on oil prices in recent months. The US Federal Reserve is widely expected to cut interest rates again this week, while votes are being counted in on one of the closest fought presidential races in decades. The Fed's two-day rate meeting begins on Wednesday and is expected to result in a 0.25 percentage point rate cut the following day. The United States has remained a bright spot in global economy this year, with inflation falling toward the Fed's 2% target, while growth has remained robust and the labor market has remained surprisingly resilient despite recent signs of cooling. The International Monetary Fund will begin its review of Egypt's loan program on Tuesday. The review is fourth under Egypt's latest 46-month IMF loan program that was approved in 2022 and expanded to $8 billion this year after an economic crisis marked by high inflation and severe foreign currency shortages. Egypt had requested financing under the IMF's Resilience and Sustainability Trust since 2022, with hopes it could unlock up to an additional US $1 billion. Striking workers at Boeing will vote Monday on the aerospace giant's latest contract proposal to end a bruising walkout that has dragged on for more than 7 weeks. The vote by about 33,000 machinists in the Pacific Northwest is expected to pave the way for production to resume at 2 Seattle area factories that build the 737 MAX and 777 aircraft after workers voted down 2 previous offers. Chief Executive Kelly Ortberg has implored strikers to ratify a deal. Boeing's latest proposal for its workers includes a 38% wage increase over the 4 years of contract, up from 35% hike in prior proposal and closer to the 40% initially sought by union. Financial markets globally began the week on a cautious note on Monday, with shares in Asia subdued while the dollar eased slightly ahead of a busy week headlined by the US presidential race, which is set to come down to the wire. China's National People's Congress Standing Committee meets from November 4th to November 8th, which will be closely watched for further details of a raft of stimulus measures announced recently. Trading was slim in Asia on Monday, with Japan out for a holiday. However, MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan rose 0.7%, recovering from its fall to 5-week low on Friday. US stock futures lost ground, with Nasdaq futures NQC1 falling 0.11%, while S&P 500 futures ESC1 eased 0.14%. The dollar was on the back foot, with the euro EBS last 0.4% higher at $1.0877. You're watching DD in the News Hour. Time now for sport. And on to soccer. Caicedo put the brakes on Manchester United's mini revival under temporary charge Rudd by earning a Premier League point for Chelsea with a stunning second-half volley in a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford on Sunday. The draw means Chelsea edged past Arsenal and into the top 4, while Manchester United, who on Friday confirmed the appointment of Sporting CP coach Ruben Amorim, moved up 1 place to 13th. Van will remain in charge for next week's games against PAOK in the Europa League and Leicester again in Premier League next Sunday. Amorim will then arrive on November 11 to become United's 6th permanent boss since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement in 2013. Max Verstappen won a chaotic rain-lashed Brazilian Grand Prix on Sunday, roaring back from 17th on the grid to reignite his push for a 4th successive world title. It was the Red Bull driver's first Grand Prix victory since the Spanish Grand Prix in June and delivered a bitter blow to Lando Norris's title chances as the McLaren driver dropped from pole position to 6th at the finish. Verstappen now has a 62-point lead over Norris in the standings, with a 60-point margin required after the Las Vegas Grand Prix on November 23rd to see him crowned a 4-time world champion with 2 races remaining. Germany's Alexander Zverev won the Paris Masters by defeating home favourite Hugo Humbert 6-2, 6-2 in the final. The 27-year-old has now clinched 7 ATP 1000 level titles over the course of his career. It was a happy return to Paris for Zverev after he lost the French Open final to Carlos Alcaraz in June this year. 4 years ago, he lost the Paris Masters Championship to Daniil Medvedev. His victory in Saturday's semi-final meant the current world number 3 will overtake Spain's Alcaraz in new updated rankings. The German will next play the ATP finals in Turin from November 10th to 17th. In an exclusive chat with DD India's Narayan Singh, Indian hockey defender Jarmanpreet Singh shared his insights on the team's significant progress. He highlighted the impact of new talent joining the squad, expressing confidence that Indian hockey is well prepared to achieve even greater heights in the future.
We saw Indian hockey players perform very well, and right now I am joined by Jarmanpreet. Jarmanpreet, a very warm welcome. Recently, the kind of hockey the Indian team played, whether it is Asian Champions Trophy or the Olympics, defending the bronze medal there. Also, we saw the 2 matches, the bilateral series against Germany too. In the second match, it was exceptional performance by the Indian team. So how you look the overall performance of the Indian team in recent times?
First of all, thank you so much. And I think the hockey, India is improving very well. And as you saw, we are get 2 medals back to back in Olympics, and now Asian Champions Trophy, and we played very well against Germany here. So I think the hockey is growing up day by day. Now Hockey India League is coming. So I think this is a very good step for the hockey, and I hope so one day the hockey will comes on top again.
But we saw one thing is that India created multiple chances in the numerous tournaments, whether it is Olympics and whether it is the Asian Games too, where but the converting those chances into goal, do you think still a work remains on that front?
I think we are improving day by day. Before that, the field goals are very less now. The field goals are also coming. So it's a process. It's not taken like it will not come in 2 days or 3 days. It will take time.
Talking about the Indian hockey team, new faces has been introduced in the Indian hockey team. If we talk about the goalkeeper, after Srijesh, there are 2 new goalkeepers. Krishna Bahadur Pathak is there, and Suraj is also there. And new faces, as in the Germany series, the bilateral series also, we saw new faces has been added. So how you look this transition period for the Indian hockey team?
I think it's a good transition for the Indian hockey for the future, because in future we need good players who can continue this legacy. And I think it's a great step by the coach and the Hockey India. So they are giving chances to the junior players.
The way the players, the athletes in the India are treated right now, we see that after Olympics also, our athletes were, we can say that the way they were respected, they were honored, they were received. Do you think there is a change in the perception in the Indian sports right now?
Most important step for the sports, because if we facilitate the players and we give respect to the players, so that's how the other players will come and the younger player will take interest in sports. So I think they have to do it, continue and keep supporting the sports and hockey and every player. So the Indian sports will be improved.
Definitely, the way German priest said that the Indian hockey is in transition phase and it's good for the Indian hockey, and also the kind of honor and the respect the Indian athletes are getting, definitely it's a big boost for the Indian sports. With camera person Sunil, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
In an exclusive conversation with DD India's Narayan Singh, Indian shooter Arjun Babuta, who finished 4th in the men's 10-meter air rifle final, talked about how he dealt with Paris debacle, rise of Indian shooting and his next aim. He also highlighted the impact of Prime Minister Modi's support to Indian athletes. Take a listen.
Rise in the Indian shooting, and we saw our shooters are winning medals at the international podiums like Olympics, Asian Games, World Cups and World Championship. And right now I'm joined by the Arjun Babuta, who finished 4th at the Paris Games and missed a medal by a whisker there. Arjun, the way Indian shooting is going on, right now how you look the Indian shooting, the way our shooters are performing well at the world level?
It's actually really good. We have been performing well in the past for many years, but now the hard work and smart work is actually paying off. So it feels great to see all the shooters win all the medals, and we can expect much better results for in the future.
We all know that finishing 4th and missing a medal like the podiums of the Olympics, definitely it's heartbreaking for any athlete. So how you dealt with that, and it inspired you to do better and better, so that you can, in the next edition or any event, it will push for you to cross the limit?
Definitely it is going to push my limits, because I believe it was not my day that day, and I did everything that I could on my end, and I believe I can expect much better results in the future from myself, and it only boosted my confidence.
It's not only about the infrastructure, but the emotional support our athletes are getting from the system. PM Modi tweets for you people, he greets you, he meets you. So how this factor is important for the Indian sports?
It is very important, because when we win, everybody is there, but when we don't win, nobody is there. So we need that emotional support sometimes, and we need somebody else to tell us that you have it in you to win medals in the future. So I really appreciate it.
So definitely the way things are happening in the Indian sports, our athletes are appreciating it. The way Arjun said that the medal that he missed by a whisker at the Paris game, definitely he will try to convert that missing margin by winning a medal in the next edition of the Olympics game. With camera person Sunil, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
The level of enthusiasm among the voters is high as the United States is heading to one of the closest and highly competitive presidential polls in its history. Republican candidate and former President Donald Trump and Democratic candidate and Vice President Kamala Harris run neck to neck. Well, excitement is certainly visible there. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.